card.
Murder.
Big card.
Bang.
Murder.
Big card.
Murder.
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 And here,
Murder.
Bang bang.
Go ahead, Ty.
and this is the
There.
I get
One more.
one more.
All right, go for it.
Good evening, degenerates, and welcome back to another episode of DGen Hours. College football week 7
Oh, shit.
is
Yeah,
here.
baby.
We're really getting
Dude,
in
we
the
gotta
thick of
slow
things.
down. I
I
gotta
know.
enjoy this.
I like
guys.
speeding up.
No, I like
No.
speed the
Speed
fuck
Speed
up.
I've been waiting all year
Or
for
extend
weeks,
the year.
week 7 and 8. They did extend it with a 12-team playoff, actually.
Extend it
Week
more.
7 and 8, this is where the meat of the season is. I mean, the matchups these weeks
Bless you.
are
Right.
fucking crazy. Our marquee games are huge games
Oh,
this
yeah.
week, and
Oh,
so I don't really even want to take too much time to get into them. Last week, we do have to quickly recap.
Records.
Throw up the records up here.
If you want to look at dog shit,
No
look
one
right
was
here.
no one
Yeah,
was really that
really,
good. Mario was
really
the only
bad.
one above 50% on the week. He was 6 and 5 on the season. Ryan's 52%. I'm 50, and then 48 and 40. Or sorry, 49 and 48.
All right,
Call
well, I'm
me
there.
Mr. Dog
I'm-
Shit.
Dude, I'm climbing back.
Everyone's
there.
everyone's
Let's get
right
above 50.
hovering around that 50% number. The Mortal Lock parlay, the parlay we put together
Oh my
every week
God.
to pay you money. We hit it 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And we paid $450
With the same
to
lines
it.
you hit.
Yeah, and then
2 ways.
me and you both
Ran it
went
back.
back. We went Navy and Clemson. They both hit
Yep.
to start Saturday. So we had one leg left. It was Miami, Mike's pick. Miami was never covering. So that, even though Miami won, amazing end of the game, the Mortal Parlay did not hit. We were 2 and 1. Mike drops his first game
Sorry.
in 4 weeks.
Sorry.
He was
I
on a hot
fucking
streak.
suck.
Honestly,
fine.
we all liked
No,
that
it's
pick at
okay.
the time.
You're fine.
You can't hit every week, but we're going to hit this week
did.
because
Oh, yeah. Big
Ryan
shots,
hit
guys.
his first
Yep,
Mortal.
I am back. No more trash.
No more
Welcome
bags
back,
in the head.
kid.
No more
Welcome
back.
back.
Yes,
Welcome
risen.
back.
It feels
Welcome back.
nice. I'm used.
Boise State.
Resurrection.
Boise State got Ryan back into green figures after
Love
an
it.
0 and
Oh,
5
yeah.
start
Shout
to the
out
season.
to
Gotta go back
Genty.
to the well.
No,
This
yeah,
year,
I
I gotta
Shout
go way
out
back.
Genty.
Which means this week, actually, for the first time in a while,
It's a
the
four-legged.
winner of the parlay gets $1,000.
$1,000. Subscribe.
Instead
Comment.
of 450 bucks.
digits.
So we paid out
Four.
450 bucks 2 weeks ago. Now we're
paying
gonna give you
1,000.
4 modals at the end of the episode.
Four-leg parlay.
$1,000.
We're hitting that shit.
Let's get right into the games. First game on the card, the game of the fucking week, biggest game, and it's the first game Ohio State we get to talk about on the
yeah.
podcast.
Shout out
Yeah.
Buckeyes.
Oh yeah, finally.
Ohio State at Oregon. Ohio State 3.5 point favorites. The total is 52.5. Ryan, obviously, I will start with you. We've seen Ohio State through the first 5-6 weeks of the season. You know, not really playing anyone, but they've been dominant.
Yeah,
They've been
nothing-
covering spreads. They've
haven't
been
really
taking
got
care of business. Their first real test is a road test against number 3 team in the country.
Very tough
How do
test.
you see your team faring up? Are you going to cover this number?
I believe we will cover this number. This is going to be a tough test, mostly because it depends how Oregon starts. Because I know Ohio State's going to start slow. It's just in our nature. It's in
Yeah.
Ryan Day's blood
Yeah.
to not put up a lot of
They
points. to
love
start
to
the game.
sleep that first
Yeah,
quarter.
slow down. Ryan Day likes to make up play. You know, like where you run the ball to see if it'll work later in the game. You just
Yeah.
do it. And that's what he's going to do all game. So if Oregon starts well, I think it might be a good game because we'll have to catch up a little bit, and that's always tough to do in an opposing game anytime, especially in a divisional game now.
Yeah.
A lot of travel. It's gonna be a lot of traveling for us. We haven't had to travel like this in a long
the
time.
West
No,
Coast.
it's a long flight.
travel, but
Long
I don't
flight.
think we'll be worried. We had a great game against Iowa. Good game in the second half. It was fun to
By
watch.
catch, Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith put in work. That's a feature they're gonna have to use. I just think Oregon has no chance stopping this offense, especially the running game with Quinshon Judkins, Trayvon Henderson. They both look phenomenal as of late, and I just don't. This Oregon team, I still think they're good. I know you guys aren't. You guys think they haven't shown it yet. I still think they're very good. There are a lot of new faces on that team. Dylan Gabriel's still working with that offense.
it
They're starting to
together.
click it. They're starting to cover and like look better, score some points, especially the last couple of weeks. So I think they'll be a good test. But I really just don't see them scoring. Our defense has been absolutely unbelievable, like dominant every freaking week. We gave up the Iowa touchdown last week because the last couple, it was like the end of the fourth quarter. It was bullshit.
Yeah, 35-7.
Yeah, it was a murder. So I think our defense is just that good, and I just don't think the only thing they have, Jordan James, John Tez, I don't see it. So I just think Ohio State, it should be like a 10-point win. Pretty easy.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you except for the winning margin. I think Ohio State wins this game by at least 24 to 27 points.
Yeah.
Oregon, so yeah, you know I'm not a fan of Oregon, and they haven't played anyone all season, right? They played, the hardest game was Boise State.
Yeah.
At the time, an unranked Boise State. It was in Oregon. They gave up 34 points
Yeah.
to Boise State.
Ashton Gentry really just.
They gave up 34 points
Yeah.
to Boise State. Ashton Gentry is great. You know who has a better running game? Ohio
I
State.
know,
They have a better running game. They do. Gendy's a better running back. If we're talking running game,
Yeah.
talking
Oh, okay.
backfield
All right.
plus
Offensive line.
offensive line,
Yeah.
the answer is Ohio State. And Boise State was able to run all over them. Not only do they have a better running game, their passing game, I don't love Will Howard, but he can get them the ball.
Yeah, just throw it
and
up.
they have some fucking lethal receivers in Emeka and Jeremiah Smith, who's creeping up in the Heisman conversation actually as a true freshman.
Love that.
So, I totally go to defense. And Ohio State, you're totally right. Their closest game was a 28-point game last week against Iowa.
Yeah.
Oregon's had close games. They haven't covered against UCLA. They haven't covered a lot of spreads, and they only won by 3 against Boise. And I'm not sold on this Oregon offense either. So I am all over Ohio State this week. I think there's no reason, even with a slow first quarter start, I don't think Oregon can really run it up. They might go up 7-3, and Ohio State, wins 34-14 or something, whatever.
Love it. Love that.
But yeah, I actually think, I don't think they start slow. I think they start out hot because this is the first game they've actually had to get up for. Starting slow against the Akrons of the world means nothing to me. I don't give a you're going to win 50-0. This is a huge game. It's a 2 versus 3 matchup. And they play both Oregon and Penn State. So they know they can't lose both of those because Oregon and Penn State don't play each other.
Yeah.
Oregon and Penn State both beat Ohio State. They're going to play each other in the conference championship. We've already talked about the craziness in the rankings. Who knows what the fuck can happen? A 2-loss Big Ten team that doesn't make the conference championship
Tough.
maybe doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So Ohio State really needs to win this game. They're going on the road. 3.5-point favorites already. Anytime there's a 3.5-point road favorite and it's a 2 versus 3 matchup, I'm probably going to leave with the favorite regardless, especially when they're, the home field advantage is massive in this game. So give me Ohio State by 1 million and bet the winning margin between 20 and 26 points.
Wow, that is a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see your 20 to 26 point
And you raise
winning margin, and I raise you 30
Alright,
to
this is getting
34
scary
point
now.
winning
I don't
margin.
know about all this.
I'm not gonna be a dead horse, and so I completely agree with everything that both Ryan, or more so what Tyler was saying.
Can't agree
And-
too much with Ryan.
Well, no. The only reason why I'm agreeing more with you is I think it's exactly what you said. This is the first game Ohio State actually has to get up for, and this is the start of their proving grounds. And I do not see any reason for Ohio State to come out the gate slow. I think they actually have more of a incentive to come out the gate really, really hot, make a statement
Yeah, I think
in
they start
Oregon.
fast.
I think,
Haven't done it in 48 games, but yeah, I hope so.
I mean, again,
I love it. I'm
don't
on your
think-
side.
I mean, maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong, but I also think not only is Ohio State's offense going to absolutely decimate against the Oregon defense, who is ranked 47 against the rush. They have Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, who are going to absolutely demolish them. Not only that, but last week I watched really closely that Oregon versus Michigan State game, which I don't know why the I was doing that, but
Yeah, you were doubting. You were texting me about that game.
no, I know,
With
yeah,
the
it
guy
was-
from Oregon. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, real weird. But I don't know what I was doing. But I saw Dylan Gabriel make 2 of the worst interceptions
They were that
I
bad.
have
I haven't seen him do that
ever
ever.
seen in my entire life.
He did
And
against
both of
UCLA
them,
too. He did that 2 weeks ago against UCLA as well.
but
where
he
threw a
made
pick
the
six.
same mistake twice in
Yeah.
the end
Yeah,
zone
that's wild.
against a shitty Michigan State team. Ohio State is significantly better in every way, shape, or form on defense. This is not financial advice, but put enough money on this line to where you would contemplate retirement when it wins.
Ooh,
Because
I
this
like
is
that.
so f***ing easy.
Wait, did you say Dylan Gabriel's both of his picks were in the red zone or in the end zone?
They were in.
The pick six against UCLA was also from like the 7-yard line. And
I did
UCLA
not-
picked
I
it
did
off
not
on
know
the
that.
1-yard
Maybe
line.
he's
It
got
was
an
not know
interception
that.
problem.
95-yard pick six. So maybe
not know that.
maybe bet Dylan Gabriel interceptions over, and whenever they get in the red zone, you can live bet some shit about him throwing a pick
Yeah.
or a pick six or something. But
Yeah,
Mario,
easy Ohio State.
are we making this?
OH?
Are we making this a consensus bet?
We
Oh.
are absolutely making this. a
Woo!
consensus.
Consensus.
Easy.
There you go.
Easiest consensus I've
Yeah,
ever
this Ohio State team is easily covering this. I don't know if I feel as strongly with the 30-point win margin or
Yeah.
even 20-point. I can see that. For me, the key to this game is going to be how Ohio State comes out in the third quarter. I don't know. Maybe they do start fast. I mean, that'd be cool to see. I just, for some reason, can't really see that in my head. I feel like
It's
Oregon
never happened.
at home, like I feel like they're gonna make
They have
it.
some juice. Yeah.
They're gonna have some juice. They're gonna be in there, and like Ryan said,
It's
Ryan
game day, right? They have college game days going
Yeah,
there.
I
Ooh,
believe
I
it's
think
game
so.
day, and Ryan, talks enough about Ryan Day. Ryan knows Ryan Day,
Oh, God.
and he knows his play calling. I think
know Ryan Day.
I think
Seen
they're going to
this
be
way.
very conservative. They're going to run the ball a lot. It'll probably be like a somewhat tight Ohio State lead going into halftime. Maybe they're up by a touchdown or 10. I think they really blow the door open, though, in the third quarter. I think that's when you really start to see Ohio State pull away.
It is game
I think
day.
the fact that this is a ranked matchup 2 versus 3, and you see it's already outside of a field goal, 3.5.
Yeah.
I think later in the week, this is probably going to close somewhere around 4.5 to 5.
Damn.
And yeah, I feel pretty confident.
Damn, I
Wow,
love that.
well,
Yeah.
No, I'm
consensus
obsessed
pick.
with
There you
that.
have it. Yeah, game day. Actually, I just saw the headline of an article. It's supposed to be the Red River Showdown preseason, and they switched it to Eugene. So
Oklahoma's
this will
not.
be-
I mean, makes
Well,
sense.
That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does
it
make
has to.
sense.
This has to be.
Next game, a game I don't know if we thought we'd be talking about this week,
God.
but it is very big in the Big 12. Kansas State at Colorado.
Huge
the
game.
Shador Show. Maybe having a little life for a Big 12 championship. Their
It's
odds are a lot
alive.
higher than you'd think to win the Big 12. They're third, actually. In preseason, they were 7th. Kansas State at Colorado. Kansas State 4.5-point road favorites. Total is 56.5. Michael, you're a big Shador guy.
Huge.
So I want to go to you first and say, like, how do you see Shador and company competing at home against a tough Kansas State team?
I think they have had an extremely favorable schedule. Besides Nebraska, I think besides that one game, they have had a very easy schedule against Colorado State, Baylor, UCF. I don't think they're impressive wins at all. I'm honestly, although I had a lot more wins going into it, I've always been a hater. I'm really not
love to
surprised.
hate.
I do love to hate Colorado. I'm really not too surprised that their record is where they're at going into this game.
You had them
But
winning
again-
3 games preseason.
Again, yeah,
They're
I love to
4-1.
hate. I love to hate.
Okay.
But I think this is really where, the rubber meets the road here. Kansas State clearly had, I think it was an upset, right, against BYU, or was BYU favored?
BYU was not favored.
Oh, okay, so and they were upset there, but then they bounced back the week after. They absolutely demolished Oklahoma State by 21 points, which in my book was pretty impressive. I'm going to take Kansas State here, obviously, but I will advise don't bet it yet because I think this is going to close to be a little bit smaller than 4.5.
I know.
The only
a
reason
lot of money's pouring in on Kansas State right now.
Oh, well, that goes against my logic. I thought because it's the public, everybody loves Colorado, and they're playing in a big game that's going to get a lot of publicity. I figured there would be more money. The line would close a little bit shorter for Kansas State.
It might.
So that's why I'm going to wait. But Kansas State is the play here.
You never know. Mario? You've been undefeated on Colorado so
I've
far,
been
by the way.
undefeated.
You
I've
picked
called every
Colorado's
single
5
one.
games correct.
That is going to end this week because Ben with the heart, Colorado plus 4.5.
Oh,
you
I
don't-
like
you don't think
calling
it's
the
gonna-
end though. That's respect.
No, I'm going to call it this week.
Okay.
So I know when I'm losing it, but there's just no way I'm not taking Colorado
Sure.
plus 4.5. If it was anything around 3 points, I would have to take Kansas State. That would just be way too good of a number. This number is still kind of good. You know what I
Very
mean?
good.
Because probably in the fourth quarter they'll be up, a touchdown, 10 points, 14 points.
Yeah.
But I love Shador. Shador, Travis Hunter. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, first off, do yourself a favor, hammer the over in this game. No matter how it flips, smacks, runs, Colorado doesn't have a defense. Kansas State has shown they don't have a
56.5.
Yeah, I think it opened. I saw in the 40s. I swear to God, it was like 48 or 49, and it has just gone
I
up
didn't
by
see
a
that.
billion. Especially after last week, Kansas State put on a showing. I think Kansas State found their rhythm, run the ball with DJ Giddens. Colorado's always going to score no matter who they play or how they lose. It's going to be with points. Love the over, but unfortunately, Mario knows the end. I got to ride with the end. Kansas State minus 4.5. I got to bet. I think this is the team that's going to. I always said from the beginning of the year, this is the team that's going to win the Big 12. Not giving up hope yet.
Yeah, so I thought I would beat Kansas State in this game. I actually did. Because I was like, oh, Kansas State's just a better team. They're ranked, whatever, they're favored on the road. Well, no, I am joining you. My pick is Colorado plus 4.5. But the reason's slightly different than just riding Shador blindly. So if this is in Kansas State, I'm betting Kansas State no matter what the spread is. This is a home game for Colorado. So Kansas State at home this year has looked fucking great. Kansas State week 1 at home won 41-6. Then they played they played Arizona at home week 3, won 31-7. Extremely convincing. That's when they went up in the polls. And then last week they played Oklahoma State at home, won by 22.
Yeah.
So at home, Kansas State looks really good. On the road, they played 2 road games. One was at an unranked Tulane. They won by 7. The end of the game. Then the only other road game they played was at BYU. At the time, not ranked, lost 38-9. This team does not play well on the road. There's a reason this number is only 4.5. when they are ranked higher in offense, defense, everything.
Yeah.
Kansas State is a better team all around than Colorado. They do not play well on the road.
I mean,
Colorado,
Tulane, they won by. I think they missed the cover by a point and a half, 2 points.
they won by 7,
Yeah, the
34 to
cover was
27.
Like 9.
No, I'm not talking about the spreads or anything. I'm just saying they haven't like killed anyone on the road, and they haven't looked good. I mean, they haven't. The only win they've had on the road, they played 2 road games, was against an unranked Tulane by 1 touchdown. So like for a team that's ranked in the top 20, that doesn't impress me. They haven't beat a ranked team yet, and their loss was to an unranked BYU at the time, 38-9 on the road, an absolute blowout. They lost by 29 points. So Colorado has been getting better throughout the year. They didn't start the year looking great. Against North Dakota State, they won by 5, not impressive. Then they go and lose by 18 to Nebraska. But the last couple games, they beat Colorado State convincingly, which doesn't impress me. Baylor in overtime was a crazy game. Crazy
That
comeback.
was a huge stepping stone.
And then UCF, they were plus 485 on the money line.
That was a perfect
and
game.
won 48-21.
Yep.
So they have momentum. They have been playing well, and they are at home. This Colorado team has momentum. They win this game outright at home. You can book it now. Colorado will win against a ranked team, and they will be ranked next week and be the favorites after this week to win the Big 12. That's my prediction. This is their only other hard game is Utah, and Utah's looked very shaky.
Calling your shot.
Calling my
Like it.
shot. I said it
Wow.
preseason. I loved them as like my long shot to win, just because I think if they could get hot, they have enough talent to do it. If they get confidence behind them, Shador is the best quarterback in the division. He is.
Yeah.
There's not that many other great quarterbacks in the Big 12. Who is better? If you're looking at
Fafita.
Fafita. Yeah.
this year, better than Shador.
That wasn't the question. But
I mean, Fafita
in
hasn't looked
general.
good at all this year.
when
In general, he has more talent. He's just bad.
I
No,
think
yeah,
Shador's
we're-
probably gonna be a
it's-
first-round quarterback draft pick. I don't know if
we need to
Fafita
really
ends up
argue,
being.
but yeah,
Yeah,
I see what
seriously,
you're- I
like
see what you're
what-
saying.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
a
my
great friend.
take on Colorado here. It's not just a blind homer pick. I actually think they get this done. Kansas State on the road is not good.
There's a
Sure.
method to the
Fair
madness.
enough.
Yeah. Last game of the week.
Second
Big
to
game,
last game.
Mario. Big game for you. Ole Miss at LSU. Huh?
We're skipping? Skipping a game? Skipping that game?
Oh,
I
you
totally
were-
skipped.
You said.
I totally
Yeah.
skipped it. I
Holy
totally skipped
shit.
it. We're going back.
I was like, I'm
Not
gonna
the last
skip it.
game.
I was like,
skip
the
it.
Not Ole Miss
fuck are we
LSU.
doing?
This is an irrelevant game.
Irrelevant game.
Oklahoma lost.
Yeah.
Sorry. Red River Showdown.
Bang!
big game
Red River
for
murder!
Texas and Oklahoma. It's technically at Oklahoma, but it's a neutral site in Dallas.
Completely
So
neutral.
the game's actually being played in Texas.
Completely neutral.
Texas minus 14.5, total 49.5. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, Mike.
Red River Showdown, which has been going on since 1929. Texas lead the series 61-51, and somehow there's 5 ties. I don't understand how there's 5 ties, but there's 61, 51, and 5. This is gonna be a Red River bloodbath.
The Red River for real.
Sure.
Ooh. See that? You see what he did there?
No, I don't get it.
Okay.
It's okay.
But we're about to march into Dallas and absolutely just blow the lid off of this brand new stadium for the first time ever. I think Quinn is going to absolutely decimate this OU defense, which ranks in the bottom half of the nation when it comes to completion percentage. They allow over 61% of completions from opposing quarterbacks. Staying on that note, I think this game in general is going to come down to defensive line specifically. Oklahoma has 2 guys, R. Mason Thomas and Grayson Houghton, who have been fucking terrorists against all opposing quarterbacks.
They're like
I mean,
you.
just put them on a watch list,
To join you.
No,
I mean, you're already on a no-fly list.
that's not true. I'm on no lists.
You brought a weapon on an airplane, Mario.
Did not
You
ever-
are on a no-fly list.
Yeah,
No
you
fly
actually,
list.
yeah, you
I
actually
can
did
fly.
bring a weapon on.
Jeff
Yeah.
just can't have
Epstein's
TSA
list.
pre-check.
No
You
fly
can't have
list.
TSA pre-check.
Or,
Okay.
yeah, or clear.
Shout out clear.
It's 50-50. Roll the dice.
It's not very clear.
Anyways,
You know what I'm saying?
They have those 2 guys that have been absolutely phenomenal this entire year. I think our O-line has showed so far this season that they've been absolutely stellar. They can hold up against pretty much anyone that they've been tested against so far. Similarly, on our side, we have Colin Simmons, true freshman, absolute monster. Anthony Hill Jr., who's been a team captain for the past 2 years. And then, of course, our entire secondary, one of the star players, Makuba, former Clemson boy, absolutely everywhere. And I think there's going to be, like I said, Red River murder.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think 85% of the time, Texas covers this number easily. So my bet is Texas minus 14.5. But you'd have to be living under a rock to not know what happens to Texas in these games.
They lose.
right? I mean, what happened last year?
We lost.
You lost, right? So you were huge favorites last year too. And so
This wasn't in the new stadium though.
agreed. And Oklahoma was much worse than they were. I mean, they were much worse last year than they were this year.
Yeah.
Oklahoma last year was like a 500 team.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Gabriel.
I think they cover this spread most of the time. Texas, these are two different calibers of teams. Texas, I think, has probably the best roster, top to bottom, on both sides of the ball in all of college football. Their quarterback room is insane. Even if Quinn's coming off an injury, a little shaky, Arch can come in. He's been playing out of his mind. So I'm not worried about Texas production. All I'm saying is Oklahoma sometimes
spot.
plays out of their minds
Yeah.
in these games. So I'm not hammering this bet just for that one reason. But the bet is Texas. I think Texas can win. I'm rooting for Texas. I'm rooting for you. I want them to stay the number one team. I have no loyalty to Oklahoma or whatever. But I would advise against making this like a hammer play in the case where this is a close game going into the fourth
I'm
quarter.
hammering the out of this.
I'm sure you are. I would too if I were you. But I'm just saying, from my standpoint, I'm like, hey, I've watched this happen a million times where
Yeah.
Texas last year was a top 3 team, play a 5-5 Oklahoma, or whatever at the time, 3-3 Oklahoma, and then go and lose outright.
No, you should
as their
step with
only loss
caution.
in the regular season. So that's my caveat. I just don't want to be like a blind Texas bull, but there it is.
That's fair.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, as of recently, the Red River Murder has been murdering Texas.
Well, 2 years ago we won and then we lost and then
I mean,
we.
you've probably won like 3 out of the last like 11 or
Yeah.
whatever. So like it's been a
Yeah.
Red River Murder for Texas. But I just can't get away from how I've been saying all year how bad this Oklahoma team is as a whole. And whatever you want to throw in there, however you want to mix it around, they're so bad that even Texas' worst game, which I think they might play, it might be a close game. Somehow at the end of the game with a pick six or a terrible play by the quarterback or something, Texas is going to cover. So consensus, Texas.
Oh, not
in.
yet.
Whoa,
We
whoa,
haven't heard
whoa.
Mario.
Mario's picking Texas.
Everybody's skipping everything.
No, Mario's picking Texas. He doesn't even say
I know
anything.
he's not.
It's
doing that.
Texas.
Yeah,
wins.
Texas.
There you go.
Come on,
I
baby.
fully agree with Tyler.
Boom.
I'm not gonna hammer this. You don't want to be that guy that puts 500 on
You
this,
can't.
and
You
then
can't. I
do.
Texas is close, and then they win by 14, and you
Mike,
lose
you
by
probably
half a
shouldn't
point.
hammer because if they win, you're happy anyways.
Yeah.
But if you lose your happiness and your money.
So actually,
I
just
don't
bet
care.
on Oklahoma.
No.
Oh my
Mike's
God.
betting Oklahoma.
Mike's
No.
Oklahoma.
Live
Mike,
switch.
forget the
Live
consensus.
switch. Take off the
No.
consensus.
This
No.
is an equal play.
But no, yeah, the play
it's
has to be
not.
Texas.
The play is Texas here. Yeah. And then last game, sorry, I jumped the gun on this because this is one of the most exciting games. But besides the Ohio State game, this is the game I'm most looking forward to for a lot of reasons. Ole Miss at LSU. Big game for both these teams. LSU undefeated in the SEC. We already talked about the SEC shakeout so far. And Ole Miss, I mean, they need to fucking win this
Yeah.
game.
After their
This is a
upset.
must win for Ole Miss to stay in the SEC conversation and in the playoff conversation. They lose 2 games early in the season before the midway point. It's looking pretty dire for them. So Ole Miss is 3.5-point favorites going into Death Valley at night, I believe. Is it a night game? I need to double check that. The total 64.5. Mario, I'm starting with you while I check if this is a night game or not.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you guys know I'm going to be betting
Rad.
LSU plus 3.5. I actually like this number, 3.5.
It is a night game, 7:30 kickoff.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is a good number for us. I think Ole Miss deserves to be favored because I think at their best, especially offensively, like I don't know, something about them, they just click more. They have more of an identity. I still feel like at times we still don't really know what we are. I will say, though, as the season's progressed, we've kind of found our stride a little bit. We start slow. We're a little bit like Ohio State. We love to just, like, first drive, we're going to drive down to the 5-yard line. Like, you can book it, whether that's a touchdown or not.
Turnover, punt, field goal.
But we love driving down and going for it on, 4 and out on, like, the opponent's
Shout out
1-yard
Brian
line.
Kelly.
No, shout out Brian Kelly.
Friend of the pod.
But this is one of those games where if we drive down and we punch it in the end zone quick, could be a really good sign for us. This is a Ole Miss team. Last year they looked a little bit more convincing than this year. This year they seem like they're just lacking a little depth. They're running a little thin.
Yeah, that Kentucky game hurt
a little
their-
bit more one-dimensional. But what Ole Miss has going for them is LSU's defense isn't great. I think the big factor is going to be whether we can keep this close going into halftime.
Yeah.
If we have any sort of lead into halftime, I really like live betting LSU to win whatever our money line is, just because in the third quarter we've looked really excellent all season against all opponents. So if we could keep this even a like 3-point lead or whatever, we might be able to blow this up into like 10, 14, hold off Jackson Dart just enough to scrape by with a win. It's going to be a really tough game, though. I don't. Both the teams are similar. It really just depends on how we look.
So what's the pick?
I gave it out
100%
immediately.
LSU, right?
That was the first.
Okay,
first words
I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
This one is really tough for me. Regardless
Real quick,
of what.
bet the over. Sorry, bet the over.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I kind of like
No,
that.
it's a lot of points. A lot.
All right.
I mean,
Actually,
Over 64.5.
I'm very, very lightly
Both teams will score
going to
30.
take a spread, but I do like the over in this case, so I'm going to take the over here. But in my opinion, I still don't trust Brian Kelly really.
you shouldn't.
And I am not confident that with Jackson Dart's experience and the talent that Ole Miss actually has,
Yeah, I mean, Trey Harris.
I think
Yeah.
He's
you know,
hurt,
I
by the
think
way.
their ceiling is so high. And so I'm taking Ole Miss very, very lightly, mainly because I don't trust Brian Kelly, and I think I understand the capabilities of this Ole Miss team.
Yeah. This is a big play. And you can throw whatever you've seen from both these teams out the window so far. LSU wins this game outright by 2 touchdowns. This environment is fucking electric.
Death Valley.
Death Valley at a night game when they're currently undefeated in the SEC. Their only loss is week 1 by 7 to USC, which doesn't matter when you're talking about SEC standings or anything. This is it for this LSU team. This is the pivotal point in the season. Ole Miss is on the ropes. They're hungry dogs right now. They need to win this game. Obviously, they're going to play hard. But LSU's got to feel like they're in control, and having this as a home game at night is a fucking blessing. Yeah. That's like a 7-point swing on the spread. That's massive. And so I think, this is a really, really tough environment, and I haven't seen enough from this Ole Miss team to trust him. Trey Harris is their whole fucking offense. He's everything, and he's hurt. And even if he fucking wasn't hurt, I'd still be doing the same thing because I think they just double team him. So LSU.
It never hurts to go
plus
home
the
dog.
3.5, not touching the side because I think Ole Miss might struggle scoring.
Home dogs.
Yeah, a couple things here. One, Trey Harris not even knowing how to play. Surprisingly, the lines went up, which is very interesting. Most of the country believes if he doesn't play, Ole Miss offense is pretty much stagnant.
Cooked.
So the fact that the line went up, very interesting. My actual play though is a hammer of the under. I know it sounds crazy, but
What?
a hammer of the
Okay,
under.
sorry.
Ole Miss, I think they've only given up the most points they've given up is 20. Everything else has been 3, 7, 6, nothing, regardless of who you play.
Correct.
And it was to Kentucky on the last play that fumbled into
Fumbled
the
in
end
the end
zone.
zone touchdown.
So like really call it 13, whatever you want to call it. 20 points is barely anything. 1, 2. I mean, this LSU team is terrible. I know they've won some games. So these both teams have played South Carolina in South Carolina. I watched both the games very closely. Ole Miss last week, offense looked all right. Trey Harris got hurt.
27-3.
27-3. Defense, crush them. South Carolina at home against LSU should have won that game and should have won it by double digits. Garrett came out and played an amazing fourth quarter, but they should have won. They lost 36-33. They got 33 points.
They won 36.
They won 36-30. South Carolina
Should have
lost.
gone to OT.
Should have. Yeah.
I don't know about win, but
South Carolina, they gave up 33 points to the South Carolina team. Ole Miss
it's
is going to,
scary.
I think Ole Miss is going to absolutely slow this LSU team down. Brian Kelly has no chance of getting past them. I don't think it'll be a murder by Ole Miss, but low scoring game, I'm hammering, and I'm leaning on Ole Miss because I think I'm picking the better quarterback. I think Jackson Dart's going to bowl.
There you have it. Well, yeah, I mean, the games are electric. this
Insane.
week.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a whole lot of picks as a result
Of
that.
course.
So let's get into the cards.
all right, kicking it off with the card. Starting as I usually do, Georgia Tech minus 5.5.
Go
against
Techies.
UNC.
Stay hot.
Stay hot with Georgia Tech. Also, beginning of the card, Colorado plus 4.5 against Kansas. Should've.
Scope buffs off a cliff.
Exactly. Games already talked about. Ohio State minus 3.5 at Oregon. Ohio State, Oregon over 52.5 points. Texas minus 14.5 against Oklahoma. Proceed with caution, but they'll probably hit. LSU heart pick plus 3.5 against Ole Miss. LSU, Ole Miss over 64.5 because both these offenses like to score. Now with the games we haven't talked about, Utah minus 6.5 against Arizona State. Utah's not that bad. They'll take care of business. Tennessee bounce back spot against Florida minus 14.5. Vanderbilt keeping the momentum
Sneaky.
going
Mr.
against
Bill.
Kentucky. Vandy plus 13.5 against Kentucky. Boise State minus 21.5 against Hawaii. Boise State, Ashton Genty, shout out. Boise State, Hawaii over 61.5 as well. And ending the card, USC, Penn State over 48.5. Oh, one more pick. Nebraska plus 3.5 against Indiana.
Nice.
Oh,
Whoa,
Shout out to
nice
Dylan
and
Raiola.
condensed.
Dylan Raiola,
Like it.
dog.
Dylan Raiola, he's nice.
All right. Welcome to Logic Land. My name is Michael Christopher
Oh, yeah.
Yoon, and we are
MC
about to
Live.
bounce the
Clock it.
motherfuck back.
Yep.
Starting the card the same way I do every week while we are number one, Texas Hook'em Horns, minus 14.5 in the Red River motherfucking murder. Moving on. Ohio State, minus 3.5 against Oregon. Ohio State, Oregon, over 52.5. Kansas State, minus 4.5 against Colorado. Sco Buffs off a cliff. Ole Miss, sorry, Mario, minus 3.5 lightly. Ole Miss, LSU, over 64.5 heavily. And then the games that we haven't talked about. Utah, minus 6.5 against Arizona State. Utah, Arizona State, over 45.5. Over.
Whoa.
Clemson, minus 20.5 at Wake Forest.
Free.
Down with the Forest. Alabama, bouncing back. Minus 21.5 against South Carolina. The Gamecocks.
Suck.
Whoa, you said it, not me.
But you agreed.
Washington,
Mind reader.
Washington, Iowa, over 40.5. Disgusting, but I love it. Bowling Green, minus 2.5 against NIU.
Oh, you're punting.
They're not going to do anything. Penn State, minus 4.5 against USC, down with the Trojans. Penn State, USC, over 48.5. Big Ten defenses don't exist anymore. Pitt, minus
All top
3.5.
five.
Hey, stop laughing. Pitt, minus 3.5 at Cal. I fucking hate you, Cal. Actually, it's versus Cal. Cal's a long way to go. They're going to be too tired. They're going to be brain dead. Washington
Brain-
State.
you're
brain
brain dead. Washington State, Fresno State, over 61.5. State schools, they like to
It's
score.
here, baby.
West Virginia, plus 3.5 against Iowa State.
Green, baby.
And lastly, but not leastly, Mr. Ashton Genty, Boise State, minus 21.5 against Hawaii. Yeah, by Hawaii.
Jesse for
Amelia.
Heisman.
Yeah.
We need
Oh,
some
God.
pronunciation practice over here.
I'll
Yeah.
pronounce you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right, let's get into it. Ohio State minus 3.5, easy one. Colorado outright and plus the 4.5. Texas minus 14.5. Be
Hook 'em
cautious
horns.
on that one. And LSU outright and plus the 3.5. I love Arizona State plus 6.5 at Utah.
Oof.
Probably an outright spot. I'd expect this line to be a little closer. I think Cam Rising is playing. You'd have to double check me on that, but I think he's back this week, and the line's still within a touchdown. So I really like Arizona State there, especially at home. UNC plus 5.5 against Georgia Tech. Sorry, Mario. Missouri minus 27.5 at UMass. Think this line's kind of broken. Think a lot of people are off the Missouri train. I'm going to take them against one of the worst teams in college football, UMass.
Yep,
So
okay.
they could probably win this game by 35. Clemson minus 20.5 at Wake Forest. Since Georgia, we've won and covered every spread. I'm going to ride the momentum. I don't care if it's a big number and we're on the road. Doesn't matter to me. Washington plus 2.5 at Iowa. I watched Iowa last week and I watched Washington last week. I either didn't see what I saw or I'm wrong in a square line, but I'm going to take Washington money line on this because there's no world, even if they're going into Iowa, they should be underdogs in this game, especially what happened against Michigan last week. And Michigan's a better team than Iowa. Virginia plus 7.5 against Louisville. This Virginia team caught some momentum last week. Think they can keep it going. Louisville has fallen off a cliff. They're not fantastic. Their quarterback throws sidearm. It's kind of exciting sometimes.
Yeah.
Besides that, there's nothing going for them. USC plus 4.5 and outright against Penn State. This is a fucking spot. I am shocked at this spread. Penn State is the 4th ranked team in the country. USC is unranked, and it's 4.5.
Yeah.
So this is another one of those games where they're telling you in the Big Ten something's going on, and I'm paying attention. Notre Dame minus 23.5 against Stanford. Stanford kept it semi-close for some time against Clemson, but it's a home game for Notre Dame. I don't think Stanford is going to be able to hang in there in hostile environments. They kind of faded towards the end of the Clemson game. I think they do the same here. Pitt minus 3.5 against Cal. Home games for Pitt have been fantastic for this team. They're 5-0. They're rolling. Cal they started unbelievably last week. They had College Game Day. Big deal for them. Marshawn Lynch was
what a
on the golf
joke.
court driving around, or golf cart, driving around on the field. They're never going to start this hot ever again, and they still collapsed anyway. So
bad.
Pitt 5-0 keeps it rolling against Cal. Arizona plus 5.5 at BYU. This is where BYU
Ooh.
loses. Perfect season comes to an end this week.
Ouch.
Fafita gets it done. West Virginia plus 3.5 against Iowa State. Both
Garrett
the
Green.
undefeated teams in the Big 12. lose outright this week.
Everything
Money line parlay that bitch. Arizona and West Virginia both pulling the
Big
upset.
12 fallout.
And
Wow.
lastly, I can't not ride this the way he's running the ball. Boise State minus 21.5 at Hawaii.
Ashton Gent.
I love that so much.
Shout out.
Oh, it feels so good to be able to say my card without a bag over
I
my
was
head.
just gonna
Holy
say,
You
shit.
can breathe.
I can
Bagless
breathe.
Ryan.
I can breathe.
No
All right.
longer the bag man.
All right, I'm going to have a huge week. You're welcome for all these picks. South Florida, Memphis, over 59.5 points everywhere. Maryland, minus 9.5 versus Northwestern, easy. Georgia Tech, North Carolina, over 58.5. There's going to be a million points in that game. Missouri, minus 27.5 versus UMass, and Missouri team total over 40.5. Bounce back, Missouri, $1 billion. Clemson, Wake Forest, over 16.5. Weird game, but I think there'll be a lot of points in the game. Army, minus 25.5 versus UAB. I mean, the forces, how do you not just ride every force? No, man. Alabama, South Carolina, over 51.5. Jalen Morrow going to go nuts. Texas, minus 14.5 versus Oklahoma. Easy free.
Bang.
Ohio State, Oregon, over 52.5. Ohio State might do this on their own.
Yep.
Hot take.
love
Illinois,
that.
minus
Hey,
9.
where's the Ohio State spread?
I don't bet on my team to spread.
Oh, okay.
I don't want two miseries in my
All
life.
right, that's fine.
I'm also bad luck. Illinois minus 19.5 versus Purdue. Purdue's one of the worst teams in all football and in the Big Ten. Notre Dame, Stanford over 44.5. Ray Leonard do this on his own. UCF team total over 31.5. Pitt, Cal over 59.5. Bet every single pick over in the history of the world. Even when they win, they score $1 million. When they are close, they score $1 million. If they lose, they score $1 million. Easy.
They haven't lost yet.
I think they have one loss.
Pitt's undefeated.
Yeah.
I
See-
can double check.
I'll see it all as it lies. UL Monroe, Southern Missouri, under 41.5. Ole Miss, LSU, under 64.5. Murder play, love that play, $1 million. Triple dip, I love my triple dips. North Texas, minus 6.5. North Texas, Florida Atlantic, over 59.5. And North Texas team total, over 33.5.
They're 5-0.
Wow, Pitt sucks. Washington State, Fresno State, over 61.5. New Mexico, minus 6.5 against Air Force. I don't like the forces now. Texas State minus 14.5 versus Arkansas State. Tennessee minus 14.5 versus Florida. You see what I did there? Bang, bang. Louisiana minus 9.5 versus App State. West Virginia plus 3.5 versus Iowa State. Sneaky great spot for Garrett Green. Penn State, USC under 48.5. Big Ten defenses will be back for Michael.
No.
You. Syracuse, NC State over 54.5 because ACC have no defenses. Minnesota minus 5.5 for UCLA. UCLA's poverty. Shout out Intern Johnson. Kansas State, Colorado over 56.5 because no defenses at all. Boise State team total over 41.5. And Indiana, Nebraska under 51.5 because SMU doesn't play this week.
Wow.
Oh.
There you have it.
Murder.
Big card.
Bang.
Murder.
Big card.
Murder.
Murder!
Murder.
And here,
Murder.
Bang bang. Go ahead, Ty.
and this is the fourth.
There. I got one more. All right, go for it. Hop on in, kangaroo. Hop back.
Kangaroo in.
Kangaroo in, Mr. Hoppy.
Introduce the Mortal Parlay.
No,
Introduce the Mortal Parlay. No, we've been doing well in the Mortal Parlay. We're over 50% every week. We hit one of them, but let's change the way we do it. Let's mess it up for the fans.
Let Ryan introduce it. He's
Yeah.
back in it.
Yeah,
There's
he's
some-
back.
Let's
the
have
bag
some.
man.
Let's have
The
Michael.
bag
Let's
man.
have Michael change the way
No,
we do it.
no,
Okay,
no.
let's do that.
Ryan,
No, go ahead.
welcome back.
do that.
Welcome
I'm
back,
back.
Ryan.
You're welcome because I know you were just not satisfied with the $450. I know you
Yeah.
weren't. You needed the 1,000, and that's
Needed
what
it.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Needed
That's
it.
what I'm here to do for you. So I'm gonna start off by telling you my mortal. It's nothing important because I've been trashed, but it just needs to be added so we can hit.
This means also, if you're subscribed, you can win $1,000. But if you're not subscribed, you can't win the free roll here. So
Oh, you have
we
to
gotta,
subscribe.
We
and
gotta
comment.
preface.
We'll
every
tell you at the
parlay
end. We'll tell you before.
telling
everywhere.
you, subscribe right now and then listen to his Mortal.
Oh yeah. Just subscribe, comment, like everything. Comment on every video, every short. You'll have a million chances to win.
And we'll
'cause
give you
want free
money.
It's free money. It's easy.
Free money.
All right,
We've
mortal of the
already
week, absolute lock. Love this line. It's absurd. UNLV, Utah State over 64.5. It's my favorite bet because Utah State has the 127th worst defense. They're terrible. And UNLV scores like crazy. I was really worried last couple weeks when the quarterback transferred,
Didn't
and they
matter.
still put up 40 a week, even with Syracuse last week. And
they
that
lost, yeah.
crazy game where they lost.
Overtime.
They're 18.5 point favorites. Utah State still ranked a top 30 offense. Somehow they still put up points.
Yeah.
So I think UNLV covers this, but Utah State's going to score a shitload of points. I think this over is a murder. UNLV could possibly do this on their own. They did it already this year. They won like 77 or something, 57 billion to 0. So over, lots of points in this game.
I love that. All right. All the mortals that have been hitting for me have been Navy. I've been
yeah.
riding Navy, but they're on a bye this week.
Oh.
Navy's the most mispriced team in college football, by the way.
So
Until
true.
they get ranked and respected, I'm going to keep mortal in them. But they're not there this week, so I had to dive into the numbers.
Okay.
And I found an absolute spot. Let me tell you why. The answer, well, first off, the answer to the question is Minnesota minus 5.5 at UCLA. And let me tell you why. UCLA has scored 16, 13, 17, 13, and 11.
Ooh,
Only
couldn't
one
get out
win
of
against
it.
Hawaii.
Teens.
They have not scored above 17 points. Minnesota averages 21.2, and only gives up 18 points per game, 22nd best defense in the country. They've played North Carolina, Iowa, Michigan, and USC.
Tough schedule.
So they put up over 21 a game against a pretty tough first 5 games. I couldn't find many harder starts to the year
100%.
than who they've played. And they've actually been scoring. UCLA has not played very many tough teams. But regardless of who they played, they haven't scored more than 17 points.
Yeah.
So this 5.5 point spread, I'm not saying they're going to blow UCLA out. There can be some shenanigans in this. But Minnesota will score above 21, 22 points. UCLA will not
13.
score more than 16 points. So I think no matter how this game ends up, it's outside this 5.5 number. Give me Minnesota at minus 5.5.
Bang.
All right, this is a get back week for me and the Mortals. I am very sorry about last week. I did not mean to let you all down. I let myself down, and I let my
It's okay.
family
You're
down.
still hot.
You stole $450 from them.
A lot of dishonor
Robbed and
has
blind.
been thrown my way and a lot of shade. But this is a get back game, and we're actually going to get back with a guy named after a car, Mr. Kyle McLaren McCord.
McLaren
We're
McCord.
taking Syracuse minus 4.5 against NC State because down with the fucking Wolfpack. And, you know, maybe on the surface level, this looks like a somewhat even matchup. Hey, look at these two teams. They're a little bit more relevant than where we thought they would be.
Hey.
But hey, look a little bit deeper. NC State, 0 for 5 against the spread. They don't know how to cover. They don't know how.
really
They don't know how to do anything
really bad.
good ever. Syracuse has a lot of depth. Their quarterback is named after a car company, a
Running back,
supercar
beast.
company, and bang, Syracuse all the way here.
I like Syracuse.
All the way.
Yeah.
Bang.
Nice.
All the
way.
All right, last leg of the parlay, $1,000 riding on
Bang.
$1,000 riding on this play. It's a game we talked about extensively.
this one. Wow.
And play.
That's what he did.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta-
I want a replay on that.
We talked about extensively. Wow. And
Just in that edit,
during
but
the-
keep
But
just keep going. Just keep going.
Like super fast.
Anyways,
I'm trying to get through a parlay, but
No,
yeah,
no,
it's
Mike
fine.
won't let me
Let's
finish.
make it about Mike.
What's new?
Yeah,
Mike
let's-
loves making
Let's
you
make
finish.
your pick about Mike.
Yeah. But anyways, extensively talked about this game. Love this offense. The team they're playing, they can put up points too. We're betting Colorado, Kansas State over 56
I love
and a
that.
half.
No, I love
Okay.
that. No, that's a murder.
Two overs
They're gonna score.
and 2 tight spreads.
Oh, I love it.
Those 4 best
I love
hit,
it.
Love it.
we
We're
are
free.
paying someone $1,000. We've already paid someone this year. Confirm. We just Venmoed
And
them.
what did they do to get the
weeks
money,
ago.
Ty?
All they have to do is like, comment, and be a subscriber. And
Bang.
the subscriber count, by the way, shout out to you guys because you guys are killing it. We just hit 1,000 subscribers like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We're already almost at 1.15K or something like that. Like you guys are going nuts
Going
with
crazy.
it. So
Boom.
you guys are loving the content. It really pumps us up to see the views and the likes and the comments.
wanna pay
It's
you.
going fucking awesome. And we've already paid
Sure.
$450 to subscribers this year.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
We wanna pay
it's been
more.
awesome. Just be subscribed. Take part in the fun. Take part in the
comment.
D-Gen. Be a degenerate with us and join the action. And Mario's going to repeat some of that. As always, do the outro. Tell them what they need to do.
If you're watching this video right now, you need to leave a like, leave a
Oh,
comment.
wait. We're getting yelled at real quick. Crappy pick of the week. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
crap.
sorry.
Oh,
my
we
God.
gotta give
Oh, my
it. We
God.
gotta give it.
Intern
Little
drop.
pump fake.
We gotta give it.
Intern
We gotta
You
give
thought
it.
we were ending it. We're not ending
He
it.
thought we're not ending it.
Do you have the pick? Or
Intern
No,
Intern
he has
Johnson.
the pick. He
Yeah,
has
yeah,
the
yeah.
pick.
He's always got
Intern
Who do you think
Johnson.
he is?
This is interesting, right?
You're 3-3, right? It's 50%. It's coin flip.
coming back.
Coin flip. No, he's been red hot.
He's been hot recently.
hot as a
Hot-
pistol.
hot.
No. The craziest thing about this crappy pick of the week
Super
is that
crazy.
he gave me a pick. He gave me Ball State at Kent State over 57.5. But you know what he did? Live switched it because that's how dialed he is. He's in the numbers right now. The crappy pick of the week is Toledo minus 9.5 at Buffalo.
He loves
Shout
his
out
Toledo.
quarterback Finn.
He
Shout out
loves
quarterback
shout
Finn.
out
He's
Finn.
back on quarterback Finn. All
Wow.
right. Now we can outro.
Now we can say it.
All right.
Leave a like, leave a comment. If you're not subscribed to this channel, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Subscribe to this channel.
And then
Turn
go
on that
comment.
notification bell. We're paying out $1,000 this week,
$1,000.
$1,000.
and we'll see you next week.
Cha-chinga,
Comment, baby. Go comment.
Leave your Venmo
Go Tigers.
Chinga-ling-a-ling.
or a credit card number.
Chinga-ling-a-ling-ling.
Social Security.
Ding dong.